Hello friends, today you will learn how to service this lens. It is an Helios 44M-4, whatever that means, and we are talking a 58mm f2. Very popular lens among vintage lenses lovers, and this lens I got it on a flea market 2 or 3 weeks ago, and although the glass is clean, the focusing is really hard. So what we're going to do, what you will learn to do, is how to disassemble this lens, how to remove the helicoid parts, to clean them, and then to put new grease again. So let's start. You will already notice I built already some markings on the lens. I will tell you when do you need to mark as the time comes. Right now don't mark anything yet. And to disassemble the lens, I was going to start from the bayonet, but what we're going to do right now is to remove the optical parts. So here you have 2 holes, so you can use, for example, a tool like a compass. This is my new toy. I bought it yesterday on a flea market. Really nice. And this is my usual compass, which is huge. And this little guy is really practical to work on little lenses. So you have the 2 holes here, and then you can twist this element. If you don't have a compass, you can use also the rubber cones, and this you will find a link on the video description, and the principle is rather the same. These are friction wrenches, and then you just rotate. So if you wonder about these blue marks on my hand, they don't mean anything. I was just cleaning my pen while I was doing these markings, because as you will see, this lens is extremely dirty on the inside. There's a lot of grease everywhere. It was grease like it was a truck. So we have removed this element, really simple. Now we are going to remove the optical block. Here I would prefer to use the friction tool. You will need to apply some force, and then you will be able to unscrew easily. Okay, so here is the front element. If you have issues with it and it is dirty in your lens, you can clean it and you can open it further. Here it is rather clean, so we're not going to worry about cleaning it. Okay, now we have removed the front. This part is free. Now we go to the back, and the first thing we're going to do is to remove the rear lens. It's tight. You can use a friction wrench, and then usually it should unscrew easily. And here you go, the rear element, and you can also work on it if it is dirty. Feels a bit loose. There is this spacer ring that you have here. Okay, so we put that aside, and then here we'll start disassembling the body of the lens. And I recalled you, the idea is to separate all these elements so we can clean the helicoid. So I take a flat screwdriver so we have removed the 4 bayonet screws. Now I'm going to raise this, but pay attention to the pin because it's going, if you don't hold it, it's going to fall down, as you can see here. Here you go, so pay attention to that. I will keep it with the bayonet, and then you will find yourself with this. Your first impulsion would be to remove these 3 screws. I did it when I was starting this lens. Don't do it. It is useless to remove them. What you need to do is to remove the aperture ring here. Here you have it. And you will need maybe to pay attention to this little ball here, so you don't lose it. Well, it's holding it with the grease, but I think okay, it's holding good anyway. But pay attention when you open this that it doesn't fall and you will lose it. Okay, now you have 3 screws around here, and what we need to do is to remove them. And with the 3 screws gone, you will be able to pull this element here, and this guy here contains all the aperture mechanism that works. When you push here, it's going to move this little lever to close the diaphragm here. It's a very simple diaphragm, so if you have trouble with it, I don't think it's going to be very difficult to work on it. Okay, we are near there, and as you can see, let me just show you that the lens. Okay, this is just grease, really all grease, and there is a lot of it. And it's quite stiff, as you can see. It doesn't spread with ease, so not very nice. And then here we reach the point where you want to start making markings. So I have done a few markings myself. I'll just pick something to show you. Okay, so here I have this marking that looks like a chair, because this thing here is a square, and you have this marking here, which is 2 lines, because this one here looks like a fork. So my marking has faded just a bit, just to make sure I have it. Okay, here I have my markings, and then I am repeating those same markings here on the side, and I put some tape just to protect the marking while I'm manipulating the lens. I might erase it because there is a lot of grease, and this is not nice. And same thing here, because well, this one, as you can see, is moving, and the same one here, and the same markings here on the side. This is to know the position of these guys that we are going to remove just now. And before proceeding further, just make sure you are set at the infinity. So this is the position I have marked for the infinity, and you will see after why this mark is here. Okay, now we are at the stage that we can disassemble this. So we stay at infinity, and we will be able to rotate this element here freely. And then here you go. Not very clean, and then obviously I didn't worry a lot when disassembling because I had my mark here, and this mark indicates when the helicoid is going to separate, and if I come here I will be going back to my position, and if I reach this point I will be aligned on my marks here. So here we are. This half, as you can see, it is very dirty. Oh, I have my hands full of grease. Not really nice. Here you go. Really all grease. I don't know if it is the original one. It feels like. And then this thing was greased like it was a truck. And as a reminder, you shouldn't put a lot of grease in anything which is a bearing, namely this, or a bearing, because you are going to reduce the efficiency of the thing. So here we are. We have disassembled up to this point. We can disassemble further this part here on the back. This we are going to do as well, but first I prefer to clean this mess because yeah, my fingers are dirty and it is not really nice working with all this grease around. So let's do a first grease cleaning. So hello friends, I am back. I got myself ready for removing the grease of this lens. It is not really a difficult process, it's just messy. So to do that in the cleanest way possible, I got myself this carton dish that I use all the time for removing grease of lenses. Then the next thing you will need is some kind of solvent, and here I use lighter fluid. You can use gasoline or barbecue gas, that works just fine. Then some toilet paper to do the cleaning, and a toothbrush, obviously, to brush off the grease. So this is all we need to do the cleaning. What I'm going to do is to show you an example here. You will see it is extremely simple. This one I will do off the camera, but I have to warn you that here you have the diaphragm opening. Just be careful when doing it yourself not to drop lighter fluid inside here. It's going to evaporate, but it might leave some traces and you don't want that. So just be careful with that. Okay, so back to this. We are going to do the cleaning. Very simple thing. Be careful also not to erase your marks. And then here I I just open the lighter fluid tin and let the thing do the magic. So I just added a little drop and letting it work, and I think maybe a good time just to come with the toilet paper and do first removal of grease. Okay, it looks already better. And then here we can go a bit more into details. And we can come with the brush Okay, so it is not perfect yet, but I think you get the idea. And anyway, as I told you before, we're going to disassemble this element further just to clean the screw behind, which, as you can see here, there is still some work to do. So now I'm going to do this guy off the camera. As I told you before, just be careful here with the openings towards the diaphragm so you don't get them contaminated. Otherwise, this is going to be something really easy. So see you in a few seconds, and then we keep going with the disassembly of this. I am done with the cleaning. This is the result here. This part very clean. I didn't got any trouble with lighter fluid infiltrating in here, so we are okay. I was really careful when cleaning it. This element here, I cleaned it as well, but as I promised you, we are going to further disassemble to get access to here, because it is still a bit hard to rotate, and maybe you have already figured it out on your lens. We'll need to remove this element here. So here you go. This is kind of end stop for this lens. And then here on my lens, it is kind of a tight fit, so I will have to force a little bit to take it out. And here I recommend you that you count the number of turns you will have to do to remove it. I removed it just before. I counted 6 1/4 of a turn. Then here you go. Let us come together. Oh, wrong way. So here we go. 1 turn, 2 turns, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then about quarter, a bit more than a quarter. Here you go, they separate, and we have still one screw here to clean and one here on the inside. So what I'm going to do, as you already know how to do this clean, I will do this off the camera, and then we meet in a few seconds for the reassembly of the whole lens. So far so good. I have managed to clean everything. So these rims were really dirty. Now we are going to reassemble them, and obviously we are going to put new grease. So this is the grease I will use. The reference is SKF LG-LT2. It is bearing grease. It is very clean grease, has long life, and I've been using it since 2016 maybe, with very good results. I have never got issues with this grease. So what I do is I just add some little drops of the grease, and then what I'm going to do is just to spread it. And what we're going to do is, once we are going to install it, we're going to do some back and forth motions so the grease spreads properly all over the thread. So we said we were about, this is the point, and then we went a bit further than a quarter away. Actually my cue is the hole here. Maybe in your lens is not going to be the case. So, and then I come here, and then I will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. And here I am a bit safe, so I will do just get a bit away, and then now it feels rather good. I still feel just a kind of a hard spot, but I think we can play with the tension of these screws here to get it completely smooth. So this is it. Now we put the end stop back in position. So I told you it was kind of tight fit, so you will need to apply some force. And then, very important here, make sure the hole is perfectly aligned. otherwise when you are going to put the little screw that holds it, what is going to happen is that you will need to force, and give me a second, I think I lost my screwdriver. And then normally you don't need to force a lot when screwing, and then you feel like halfway you need to force. So take a look, maybe your screw is tilted because the hole is not perfectly aligned. So use something like a little rod to get it, to get the two holes concentric, so you can put the screw without effort, until obviously you have to screw to lock it. And okay, not perfect, but a lot smoother than before. So this is the first part. I insist, count the number of turns. Here I had to make 6 1/4 turns. In your lens it might be different, so don't take this number I am saying for granted. Okay, next we'll need to put this guy in. We'll repeat the grease application. This should do. You don't need to put a huge amount of grease. It's actually detrimental for the bearing or thread or whatever you're using. This grease for maybe for gears is okay, but not for fine mechanics. Okay, and then I look for the infinity position. Here I have my marking, and if everything goes fine, I should get in easily. Doesn't seem to be the case. Okay, it's not super smooth as one might expect, and my guess is when I was cleaning I tightened a bit these screws too much, maybe. Okay, that was the case. See, now it got in super easy, so maybe I over tighten and deformed a bit the helicoid, so because it is a thin bronze kind of shell, and yeah, it was forcing a bit. Now it goes smooth, maybe a little hard spot here, But let's try assembling the lens like that. You already saw what you need to do in case you have something like this. So far so good. Now we put back these guys here. So where I have the two marks, I have the fork like thing. On the other side I have the full one. Now I take my screws, well, these tiny screws are not really the easier thing in the world to manipulate, as you can see here. So if you have a good pair of tweezers, that can make your life really easy. Okay, and as I mentioned before, if your screw is forcing halfway, it means it's maybe tilted, because you normally should be able to screw it all the way down without any difficulty. So we have the part here, which is nice. Okay, maybe I need to review a bit my screw tightening scheme, but I can remove it from here. This is my guess. I'll take a look at that later. Now you know to work on this lens. So to keep with the reassembly, now we put the aperture ring in. No, we put this guy here. And then the Q is that you need to be somehow aligned. Wait, just make it the infinity here. Okay, there you go. So I was here, and then okay, it's actually about the central air here that you get in easily, and you are aligned on the holes, which is what we actually want. Okay, the difficult one is the first one. Afterwards it holds, screws are aligned with the two holes, so this is easy. Last screw, then aperture ring that needs to align with this little thing here. Then I'm just paying attention to the little ball. here is wide open, and then here if we push, and finally to finish the reassembly we have the pin. We just push it here, and obviously the pin must be aligned with that element that gives us the cue for the screws. So we have the body reassembled. Just clean this. Now we screw the optics in. Here you have a spacer ring, don't lose it. And we got here, put the cover, then we put the front, the front element, the beauty ring just to finish, and this is it. This is how you service the helicoids of an Helios 44M-4, whatever that means. As I said in the beginning, 58mm f2. This is all I want to show today, and see you next time.